What up, y'all? It is Alex. It's been a while. I'm working on finishing an album and some other stuff, and I've just been really focused on the music. But I kind of blew, not like literally, but my ears hurt, so I'm making video today because I don't feel like making music because my ears hurt. So this is a breakdown of a track called Layer Cake by Fritz Kalkbrenner. I guess I'm gonna call it like it's kind of a house track. Not exactly sure you'd categorize it, but we'll just call it house for the sake of it. And this process I'm doing here is something I've been doing for, I just doing it for a while, but I don't do it as much now, but for a period of time I would just break down tracks like scientifically like we're about to do here. And I just think if you're struggling with putting a track together, like structurally especially, like if you're just having a hard time making a cohesive song, maybe you can get a cool loop or something, but you're struggling with the song, then I think this might be a good thing to do. It's helped me out, which is basically just breaking down these tracks in the way that I'm going to break them down. So first thing I did was I got the track and I put it into Ableton here. Here's what the intro sounds like. It keeps going, it eventually gets to a groove. It's cool. But what I do is, I do this, and I don't know if you can do this in other programs, at least in Ableton you can write notes at the top of the screen. And so what I do is I just write down exactly what's going on, and whenever I notice something new happens in the song, I make a new note. And this kind of just helps you break down the song almost like you're breaking down a recipe for cooking or something. So for example, when the song starts, you'll notice that we have some percussive loop going on, then we also have a sample that's slowly rising up. So just bear that in mind, and let's just listen along. You hear the vocal slowly rising in the background. Slowly rising. And you'll notice right when we get to finish the 8th bar, you're going to notice a little shaker thing start to rise up as well. So I made a note that says +8 shaker volume, which basically means that for the next 8 bars, shaker volume is going to be increasing. So here we go. There it starts. This is kind of cool too because it shows how he's using divisions of 8 to kind of keep things moving. Alright, so now we have something new happening right here. So what he did is he just brought in a melody, so I put +8 melody volume up, meaning for the next 8 bars, melody number 1 is going to be rising up. The shaker's also rising. Alright. Now, at 25, I'm not sure if anything really changed, other than I think the melody is just becoming a little bit more pronounced. Okay, so I stopped us there because I just wanted to comment. So far in this track, there's been things happening every 8 bars. So that's just important to keep in mind because in some styles of music, especially on a track like this, if you're trying to construct your loop or something, you might want to try moving things in 8-bar intervals. That could be a thing. And then I also wanted to note how at 25, yeah, it didn't seem like there was a big dramatic change. It does sound like the volume and the shaker might be becoming slightly more pronounced. But one of our bigger changes is going to come right at 33. I also just made a little note that in this 8-bar loop, notice in the last 2 bars the drums drop. This is just something I've noticed is pretty common in a lot of like house or techno music, where when there's 2 bars left, sometimes you'll drop something or add something. And yeah, so maybe try dropping your drums 2 bars before a big change is about to occur. Yeah, so another note before we get into the green section. When I zoom out, you'll notice that this track goes from yellow to green, yellow to green, yellow to green, yellow. That's because I found it to be cool to take the sections that I viewed as more breathing or building sections and make them yellow. By that I mean these are times where it's kind of more like stimulating your head. It's more of a building sort of thing, but whenever it gets to green, that's when a full-on groove is occurring. And I found this important for me to separate like this because you'll notice in a lot of tracks, especially in dance music, you have these yellow and green sections. And I just think it's nice to be able to visualize all of it, so when you're making one of your tracks and you're wondering if you need another section, or if not, if you just view enough of these tracks, you'll see what other people have done. And maybe you still do something different, but it can just be like a nice reference point to have. So cool, let's listen to these last 8 bars and we'll get into the groove. Basically, the drums are going to come in, and the melody changes a little bit, and we have a bass come in, so yeah. So this is kind of the main groove of the track. It's no surprise that Fritz lets it ride and go another 8 bars, so 16 in total. So at this point, the listener's starting to get a little bored, so after this 8 bars, he's going to add some more groove percussion, which we'll get here. Kind of like some sort of offbeat that just came in. I'm not sure if anything actually changed on this next 8 bars. There was maybe a little more percussive volume. So at this point, we get it. We get what he's doing. We're getting kind of tired of it. So he's going to drop out the melody and add in something else. Kind of that crazy sound. He's really not adding so much, he's just reducing here. The vocal came back in after these 4 bars, so check that out. We kind of get more. See, now we're breathing again, we're chilling, that's why it's yellow vocal. We're gonna get a new shaker arriving, just to keep it moving, you know. And you'll notice there's not really, we have the bass line going, but there's not like a really big melodic thing catching our eye like back in green. So he's going to give us a new one here. This is a guitar. Now if he gave us the one from before, he gave us this cool synth thingy over here, or whatever the hell that is, the do 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 do. If he gave us that again right here, we might be like, we already heard that, we don't want that. So he gave us something new. The guitar. The classic move, give us some sort of offbeat for the next 8. Again, he's keeping it moving. And even though this is a green section, it could still maybe qualify as a yellow, because it's not grooving like that hard. More percussion to keep things moving along. And now we kind of have a harkening back to the intro here, so I put sort of intro. Now he's going to try and like reset us to get back into the groove. But notice we do have a new shaker, so it's kind of like the intro. It's kind of like the latter part of the intro, and it's starting to get more exciting. So it's kind of very similar to this section from earlier, which you'll see happen fairly often. You just kind of like use the intro as a build-up again, not just in house, but techno and like pop and stuff too. We're still building, so we're still yellow. He's adding some more percussion. There is an offbeat going, but he adds like even more of an offbeat at this next 8 bars. Here we get some clap action, because we gotta get excited. We've been building for a while, so maybe he wants us to groove again, because if you're out dancing, you might be kind of bored at this point. So here we go. Grooving, grooving, grooving. The clap's gonna pick up. There's a vocal. It actually kind of started back there, vocal rising. You can hear the vocal on the side channels. I'm gonna strip it down again, I believe, right here, because we've been grooving for like how many? 34 bars, 24 bars. He drops it back down, but notice after the first groove over here, he dropped it back down. This is the main groove. Watch, he drops it back down after the first main groove. And then when he drops it down after this groove, he has the guitar already there. So it's like a different type of chilling out period. But it's still a chilling out period. There you go. Bring the kick back in. But we're simmering down. This keeps going until we get... It's kind of just like the main melody coming back in to end out the song. So I know that I'm guessing that may have been confusing. I may have been going pretty fast or something. But let me just try and overview the point of this video. If you're trying to make certain genres of music and you're struggling, I would suggest just taking some tracks from some artists you like. I would try and, me personally, I was choosing tracks that just really spoke to me, and I was like, wow, that's amazing. Like, I could never make that, like a track like that. And then I put it in this program, and then once I break it down, it was just really helpful, because I started to just realize that it's almost like following recipes in a way. You can break down these tracks that you like, you can understand them intellectually, and then when you're making another track, you can just like reference how other people did it. I'm not saying to be unoriginal or whatever, but if people do something that's really cool, like, why not try and figure out how they did it? And then I just find it super helpful, because like I said, then when I'm making a track, I'll be like, oh, okay, I'm getting kind of bored of this melody. Okay, maybe I'll drop off the drums and then insert a second melody, because that's what all these other people did. When they did it, it was cool. So yeah, and then it just has helped increase my confidence as well, because now I don't find myself really intimidated by, or if I get intimidated by a track, then I break it down. I'm not intimidated by it anymore, and that's really empowering to understand how a track that used to scare you works. So yeah, you'll notice I have all these tracks here. I don't do this much anymore, but sometimes I would make a track for each element that I heard. So like, for example, in the beginning I hear a sort of drum on the 1, I hear this like clappy sort of thing, this thing on the 2 and the 4, and then the vocal. So I'll make something for the 2 and the 4. Here's the vocal thing, and then I could put like hit on 1, or hit on 1, 2, 3, 4. It hits every time. And so, like, again, I just don't do this that much anymore, but this could be helpful for you, because then you're literally breaking down every element in the track. That I do find that there is some benefit to doing this, because at least for me, especially when I was producing early, I would try and make so many tracks. I'd have the biggest projects, and it just got complicated. And I don't know, as I break down some of these other people, I realize that it depends on the genre too, but some of these people really aren't using that many tracks, and I think actually physically making my tracks over here to symbolize theirs. Just helped really drive that point home for me. Um, so yeah, I would recommend you try this. And again, I use the yellows for moments of like rest or builds, or like anticipation, and then the greens for like full-on grooving. I found this really helpful for house and techno music. If you want, you can even go a step further, and if a section's like really chill, you can make it maybe red, and then have the one that's slightly more energetic yellow, and then the one that's full-on green. You know, come up with whatever you want. But yeah, hopefully this gave you some help or gave you a good idea for how you might pursue a track. So yeah, if you're scared of a track right now, or if you hear a track and you go, how the hell did they make that? Just put it in your program and dissect it. It doesn't matter if it's house or hip-hop or classical or whatever. But yeah, I hope y'all found that helpful. The track is Layer Cake by Fritz Kalkbrenner. It's cool. I dig it. So yeah, y'all have a good one. If you have any questions, let me know. Peace.